Hello, good evening. My name is Maneksha. I'm from Vancouver, Washington, and this is my teammate Philippe. He's from Santa Barbara, California. We are the Heartland Nomads. We are one of 5 teams traveling across the country right now to change that perception of North Korea. That is the perception that I used to have not that long ago. When I would hear the name North Korea, I would think Kim regime, nuclear politics, and not much else than that. And so it's when I learned about the North Korea crisis and heard the stories of the people that showed me and my teammate that this was something that I could get involved with. And so before we talk about why public perception is so important, we want to give you a glimpse of the real North Korea crisis as it is today. And so we're going to show you our documentary, The People's Crisis. Afterward, we'll talk about ways that we are going to be shifting public perception on North Korea. So enjoy.
Good evening, and thank you everyone for joining. Again, my name's Philippe. I'm from Santa Barbara, California. I was a global studies student at the University of California, Santa Barbara. And even as a global studies student, largely what the side of North Korea I learned about, I heard about, was a very political aspect. It was very focused in on nuclear politics, on the dictatorship. And it wasn't until I took more human rights-oriented classes that I started to get a bigger picture of some of the things that are actually happening within North Korea beyond that. And as I further did some reading, as I eventually met some people who had escaped from North Korea, I learned that there was this huge other side to North Korea, one that wasn't being talked about, one that wasn't being reported on anywhere near as much as it should. And so I got involved with Liberty in North Korea, LINK, and I got to work with the crisis firsthand. I got to see North Korean refugees gain American citizenship and enjoy newfound freedoms, including the ability to travel and see family members that they had been away from for a long amount of time. And in doing so, I've learned that that huge side to the North Korean story, the story of the North Korean people, isn't being told, and it really needs to be told. Through work like what LINK is doing in rescuing refugees, it's also playing a huge role in shaping what North Korea looks like. It gives us a look inside the country. It gives us access to information. It gives North Koreans access to information about the outside world. And it's really a huge venue for change to come about. One other way that North Korea is often misrepresented is it's often portrayed as a very static situation. It's locked into a political stalemate, as it's often said to be. And it may very well seem that way when you look at things only from the political standpoint. But as the video touched on, when you look at it from the personal side, there are massive amounts of change happening within North Korea, among the North Korean people. Things like marketization, increasing spread of technology. And North Korea now looks very different than it did just a few years ago. And these are changes that empower the North Korean people. And it's through the North Korean people that liberty will come to North Korea. And so we are looking to help bring this about. We want to see it happen, and we believe we will. But in order to get a movement like that growing, it takes people. It takes support from people all over the world. And right now, it's really going to take just a change in the public's perception of North Korea. It's going to take a shift from seeing North Korea as a hopeless political stalemate to seeing it as a country of people who have been severely repressed but are also incredibly resilient. And so this is what SHIFT is all about. SHIFT campaign is aiming to change and challenge public perception of North Korea. So as many of you walked in, you were given this. It is the SHIFT Manifesto. If you came in a little bit later, for some reason didn't get one, Maneksha is here and we'll be handing them out, so just wave at her. But what this is it's not a petition or a pledge. It's a way to connect you, to use your voice to support the people of North Korea. And so one huge instrument that's been vital in developing public perception as it is now has been the media. And largely, as you saw from the very beginning clips, the media's portrayal of North Korea has been very one-sided, very based on nuclear politics. And it doesn't have to be that way. On December 7th is going to be a big day for us because we are going to be sending your voices through the manifesto to the 5 biggest networks in the United States. We're also going to be going to 12 of the biggest media heads, big names in journalism, asking them to tell these stories of North Korea and providing them with access to these stories, access to sources directly related to North Korea, sources like North Korean refugees themselves, analysts, insider looks. We're also going to be, leading up to that, asking you to start spreading these stories of North Korea through your own spheres of influence, through Facebook, other forms of social media, Twitter. We're asking you to spread the stories of North Korea. And by signing this manifesto, we're going to have a way of keeping in contact with you, giving you this insider insight into North Korea. We'll be sending you articles, pictures, video clips, blog posts, analyses, things that are looking at changes going on in North Korea, things that empower the North Korean people. And we're going to ask you to spread those. A huge thing is, as the media sees that these are the stories being liked, reposted, commented on, it'll send a wave through media analytics that sends a huge message of positive reinforcement saying, these are the stories we want to be told. These are what we want reported. And so this challenge to the media, through its audience, through you guys, is going to be essential in changing the public's perception. In addition to that, though, we're also going to ask not to just be all talk, but also to act on it. And so on the back of these manifestos is also a box that says, heck yes, start my fundraising page. That will provide you with a fundraising page that invites you to raise $30 to go towards our mission. And $30 is a simple enough amount. It can come from putting aside $1 a day, or it's a fundraising page, so it doesn't even have to be your money. It could come from asking 15 different Facebook friends for $2 and sending them the link. It'll be simple. And as a huge thank you, we'll be giving you a free download of The People's Crisis with extended content. So in a little bit, I'm going to transition into a more panel-style Q&A session, one of my favorite parts, and I'm going to be inviting my teammate Maneksha to come join me. Just before we get to that, though, I just wanted to announce that we do have a table with more information about North Korea and our organization available. Things like a donation box. Everything donated just furthers the mission of Link in providing rescue and resettlement support to refugees, raising awareness, and pursuing an end to the crisis. We also have a sampling of shirts and jackets and other material that are available for sale online with some information about how to access that. And so without any more delay, thank you all for coming, and we're just going to get right to the Q&A. Any questions pertaining to North Korea, pertaining to Link, or even about ourselves, we'd be happy to take. Thank you.
Any questions?
Yeah, good question. There's a reason it's for the safety of our clients that we don't disclose which Southeast Asian countries in particular. But to varying degrees, they do offer the means through which refugees can be more easily resettled in South Korea or the United States, which is where most of our resettlement happens. And definitely, in comparison to China, they are a much safer place for the refugees. Over there, they are in safety, and at that point it is the resettlement to the U.S. or South Korea just enables the refugees to build lives based on their newfound freedoms. Thanks. Yes, sir. So that varies each time with each mission. The actual route taken is constantly changed to maintain its security. The refugees do not have passports and typically little information in terms of identification, which is why these routes are primarily done through brokers and through contacts who are familiar with the terrain, the geography of China, and know access points through which movement is possible without those measures. Yes, sir. They, yeah, sure thing. So since the release of the documentary, none of the team members featured there have returned to China. Their work is primarily they were there for the purpose of recording the documentary for spreading awareness of it. Primarily the work that they do. We have other members of our team and contacts even beyond our organization in China that we work with. But the members featured are primarily based at our headquarters in Los Angeles doing work there. In terms of getting into China the first time, it's through things simple enough as a tourist visa or any sort of visa that'll get you into China. And they have no immediate plans to return to China. If they do, it'll most likely be for personal reasons rather than with the organization.
I'm okay. With their families, that's a great question. There are brokers along the Chinese-North Korean border that serve as a third party to communicate to their family within the country. So they use that person as a bridge into the country and back out.
Yes. Good question. And I don't even know if I would necessarily say it's easy. It's simply easier relative to the DMZ on the south. It still is a very heavily guarded border, and there are many officials, both North Korean and Chinese, who do fortify that border. An interesting note, though, is that many of them are very low-end members of the military working the guard duties, and they're bribable. And that's a big way through. That's not always, but that in many cases is how North Koreans make it across. And to kind of expand on that a bit further, that kind of speaks to one of the more recent changes going on in North Korea, where they are still, at the end of the day, military members and affiliated with the North Korean regime. And to see that sort of ambivalence and loyalty towards their government come from lower ends of the military is huge, and it's representing a big change that's happening increasingly as of late compared to in the past. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm happy to announce that right now our success rate is 100%. Yeah, so we're very happy about that. Yeah, when our people are caught, because it's never happened, I can't speak to any incidents exactly. But my best guess is that there would be consequences, but not so severe. It's one of the luxuries that comes along with having a U.S. passport is just that even when you do get into trouble, your odds of getting out of it are much greater compared to nearly any other nationality in the world. So the likelihood of severe consequences for members of our team are slim, but because if they're caught, that means the refugees we've been assisting have probably also been caught. And that's where the severe consequences lie. Those who are caught are sent to the political prison camps. And most likely, for leaving the country, they would be executed. Yes, ma'am.
I guess this isn't really a question, but I always wonder why these countries who have all these people that are starving to death and they have too big a population, why do they even care if their people leave and go to another country? Why do they try to keep them there?
That's a good question.
Your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah.
The North Korean society works in an interesting way, especially with the personality cult that surrounds the Kim family, and an emphasis on things like loyalty. And it's my best guess is that it's somewhere in the mix between their politics and their culture, things that I can only speak so much about, not having been directly from there. But yeah, your guess is kind of as good as mine.
So we will be at our table for a while. We'd love to talk to you, answer any other questions you have. So come talk to us at our table and check out what we've got going on over there.
Yeah, we'll be right there.
Yep.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you
coming.
having us. Yeah. having us. Yeah. having us. Yeah.